What's happening, budget builders, and welcome back to the channel. In our last episode, you saw us get this thing fired up for the first time in over 15 years. This 1964 Econoline Travel Wagon pop top camper, and in today's video, we're going to attempt to drive it. How's it going? I'm Michael, and this is Budget Builds. My dad and I bring rusty, crusty old cars back to life. Before we can drive this thing, we have to have a cooling system, not only for the engine, but for the transmission. And I'm going to be honest, this is one of the worst radiators I have seen. I don't know why I'm going to try to save it, but I'm going to attempt to. I'm going to start here since it's an easy spot to do, and I've done a repair like this in the past. What we're going to do is get it nice and clean, and then we'll take our torch, get this thing blazing hot. We want to see just a little bit of color change. It takes like I think it was 460 degrees to get this stuff to melt. We'll get this hot and then we'll lay it in. Once you get it on there, they say take a damp rag and get that flux core off. Now you probably think I was crazy trying to make this radiator work, and yeah, I'm crazy. This is the worst radiator I've ever messed with. Don't know what I was thinking, but I tried. I wanted to attempt. We were actually able to get everything sealed up, both of the sides attached, but anytime you put pressure to the core, it blew. I mean, check this out. It just disintegrated. This is the worst radiator. I don't know what got on it, battery acid or something. It's pitiful. Now, you cannot buy Econoline radiators. They don't exist. You have to make them. There was a couple companies that did make them, and they no longer do. What you can do is buy like a 66 style Mustang or 64 style Mustang 6-cylinder radiator, take these off, and then install them because it's actually flip sides. You cannot find steel radiators anymore for those Mustangs. You can find an original or an aluminum, but that's it. I did end up looking around and found this reproduction, actually copper radiator. This is pretty neat because you can't find them anymore. This was the only one left. It was on Amazon. What was it, 110 bucks or something, I think? $110. Super, super cheap, but we cannot attach the sides like we'd like to. What we're going to do is probably end up making some kind of bracket to use this. I think this will be really neat in there. It's a good looking radiator. I wish we could have made the original work, but it's just not going to happen. There's just no way. Way too far gone. So let's see about getting this thing in there. Let's get a cooling system in this thing so we can run it a little bit longer and hopefully drive it here soon. Alright, okay, let's check, see what we got.
I might have been able to bolt it on with just what was there.
I told you.
No, you didn't.
Now, one thing we need to take care of to get that radiator in is the pulley and fan. Now, this one right here is actually the one off the 66, which is what it uses. It's a single V-belt, little tiny thing. I ordered one, and this showed up. that's not going to work. So this is actually off of the big inline 6 Ford. You can't even find these, especially not in single pulley. What I found was a double off of a V8, which is nearly identical, but we had to trim off the double. So I just cut right down the middle with our Sawzall here, and then I had to grind down a little bit because it's just a little larger diameter. And now we have what we need. And there you have it. Pulley, spacer, fan, quite honestly, a random belt out of the floorboard of a car. And we're good to go. Lower, upper, radiator hose, radiator, fitting in there nicely. Really good tolerance on that fan, but I don't think we're too tight. Right here we have the heater core bypass hose, as always, for the time being, until we can get all 8 miles of heater hose and a replacement heater core for this little van. We're getting some transmission fluid put in it now that we have the lines hooked up. We're full of coolant. We also went ahead and stuck that short piece of pipe there. That's actually off of the 66. Old F350 over there, since we did the new exhaust, which is nice. So we have a little short piece so it's not incredibly loud. Well, we'll see. It'll still probably be pretty obnoxious. Let's fire it up, see if that C4 still works. Well, with a little bit of exhaust on there, that's a rod knock, man. That makes me kind of sad. Where'd you come from? We thought we heard it last time, but the exhaust was so loud you couldn't hear anything. Yeah, there's a rod knock there. There's a reason this thing was being torn apart. Well, I guess we should drop a pan and see what our problem child is, huh? Or we can just drop this thing down without pulling anything out or getting crazy. Alright, let's see what where the ugly is. This thing actually looks really good. Got our pan out here and let's see what we got. What the heck? I don't see anything that's like, oh hey, this motor's completely destroyed. I've had lots of pans off. And there we've pulled out 2 rod end caps and then a main bearing cap. And as you see, looks like just normal wear. No spun bearings or anything. Nothing that signifies a major issue anywhere up under this. Okay, after removing almost all our end caps, just to check everything over, my dumb butt found our problem. I should have what in the world was I thinking? See this cap? The very last one in the back? See that nice shiny? So everything looks good. What the heck is that? There's our knock. That's why there's that little piece of metal shaving, and why it seemed to have good oil pressure and everything seemed to do well, but it was knocking. Because that right there, as you can see, big huge dent right in the bottom of that pan. Let's clean it, beat it, put it together, torque it, and we should be good to go. Nice fresh oil pump and our new gasket tacked in, and we can slide our pan on. Some fresh oil in there, brand new FL1A filter. Here we go. Will it run part 2? Will it run and not knock? That's what we don't want to happen. I think we need some more battery. Yeah, it's a brand new battery, but when you crank 46 vehicles and none of them having charging systems, they don't last long. So we charged it up to about 3%. I think it'll be good enough. Haha! No knocking!
I didn't hear a knock.
Yes! Whew. Wow, that's an oddball. Never would have expected the pan, that to be the issue. I mean, weird. But really exciting. Wow, that's awesome. That is such a good feeling. Okay, I lied. What was that? It's a way to go from happy to sad again really quick. And there you have it. If it seems too easy, that's because it probably is. Dad's down there draining coolant. We did drop the pan. We pulled all the mains except for the two outsides and all the connecting rod caps again. They show wear, a good bit of wear, but nothing stands out as knocking, which is never fun. This is probably going to have to come out. We're going to have to tear into it further. Before we do that, I'm going to go ahead, let's just pop this head off because it's just the 10 or 12 head bolts. Let's just pop this whole head off, start looking at these pistons and seeing what stuff looks like. I put our little endoscope down in there, couldn't really see anything. This will take about 5 minutes to rip off with the coolant drained. And if we don't see anything, I don't know. You just like to see something, and we don't see anything, and that's never any fun.
Where you going? Holy moly. Bill?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's all. Can you manage it?
Yeah, I just had to get it.
Okay.
That one's not gonna come.
We're all pulled apart here on our handy dandy workbench. Checking out some of these bearing caps. Yes, you can see some brass, so they're really worn. Still doesn't look like a knock. But see how clean this is, how clean those are. Also noticed a new head gasket, or fairly new head gasket. In here you can see some really ugly spots where this thing was rusted. What I think could have potentially happened here at one point of time is this motor was rusted up, stuck. We don't even know if this is the motor to this. This may not have ever been here. This may have been one that was put in here because the original 140 was bad, or 170 was bad, because it is a 68-200. What I'm thinking, it kind of looks like somebody dropped all the bottoms, all the caps, and replaced the bottom side of the bearings. So it makes you wonder what the top side of the main crank bearings look like. I don't know. The pistons look pretty good. They're a little gummy. Nothing looks terrible. All the wrist pins feel really good. Nothing stands out. Nothing stands out as a major knock. Okay. We did a little more digging and nothing really stands out. The big thing with that, it would need a complete rebuild. There's no point in trying to patch it together and go with it because we hadn't seen the problem. I don't know if we want to completely rebuild a little 200. It will be $400 or $500 in machine work plus a rebuild kit. It'd be pretty quick, pretty easy. But we did a little research, hunted around a marketplace last night. Drove 2 hours away, got back at like 11 o'clock last night, but we found a factory 170. Super cool gentleman, Malcolm, pulled this out of his little 63 Fairlane, 63 Fairlane. This is a little 170, which is what would have been factory in the Econoline. It's only 10 less horsepower than the 200 anyways. For 250 bucks, known good engine, probably hasn't run in a few years, but it was a good engine, 3-speed, radiator, extra generator, and it's got a fairly new starter on it. We know ours is a little iffy anyways. We really can't go wrong. I think it'll do good, and you can tell it's had a newer water pump put on it, probably in the last few years and everything. This is, will it run 3.0 on this thing, I guess. I'm gonna give us 45 minutes? I'll give us an hour. We'll set an hour timer. Let's pull that one out, let's get this one in, and in an hour, we'll be ready to hit the key. You ready? Let's go.
White House Road.
So stinking close. Not really. Oh, hey. Whew. It's in, bolted up, torque converter's bolted on, almost done with the starter. Dad's working on the front here. We still need to get the coil, cap, plugs, wire, plug. I'll do plugs, we'll get wires on it. I want to change the oil and get a fresh FL1A filter on it, and bolt our carburetor, and get the radiator. But we're close. That was pretty cool for an hour, getting all the back end stuff off of that motor. Wow, does that look so much better in here. It fits. It's the right look for this little thing. Cool deal. We'll wrap this up, and here in just a minute, well, a second for y'all, we'll be ready to try to fire it off. Went ahead, just because we don't, for positive, know the exact history of this motor. We know it was a runner at some point of time here in the past few years, but it's been out. Went ahead and pulled the spark plugs. All of them look really good. She might burn a little oil. That one's a little gunkied up. We'll probably just go ahead and throw a new set in there, so we know we should be ready to go. And I will throw a little bit of lube or penetrating oil down in those cylinders, just to be safe. Just about popped the carburetor on here, and I did go ahead and pull some vacuum on this with my mouth to check to see if our vacuum advance actuator was actually functioning, and it pulls straight through. So that tells me the diaphragm in there is bad. We will pop it off before we can take it for a drive. We will not have any advance because this is bad. We'll go ahead and get a new actuator stuck on that. For now, we'll get it stuck together, and I know that we will need to take care of that. Well, There it is. I gotta say, it looks right in this. It fits. It's got a really cool patina. Probably quite a bit few more miles than this machine actually has. But I think it'll do as long as it runs. We're full of oil, coolant. We're back at the same place we were. This is a Will It Run 3.0, I guess you would say. I think it will. It's super straightforward, honest guy. Whew. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm still really nervous. Fingers crossed. Let's do it. I don't have any fuel. This is good. Let's just turn it over. Yeah, duh. We don't have fuel in here. Let's turn it over and make sure that oil pressure light comes off. Oh. No? That's weird sounding, isn't it? Shh. Is it? Oh, it's just trying to crank off the little bit of gas that's in it. Let's get gas hooked up to it. Hey!
Hey, we don't even need gas.
Don't even need no stinking gas. This is the machine of the future. This is the carburetor off of our other motor just because we knew it was good. Had a little bit of fuel left in it and it didn't knock. I didn't hear a knock. Did you hear a knock? No. Oh boy. Okay, let's get fuel to this thing. She's a runner. We got a little excited, but now we have fuel. I'm not positive this fuel pump will work, but knowing it was supposedly it should have been a running engine, we should be good to go. Let's turn it over, get some fuel pressure, maybe oil pressure, try to run it. It wants to, but the oil light's not turning off.
Oh, it's in gear.
It is in gear?
It lunged.
Check it out.
Whoop, whoop.
Or did it fall off? No? Ah! Got oil pressure. Okay, thank goodness. Took it a second. Ooh, come on, baby. Well, here we go. It's obnoxiously loud. It sounds like a little tractor, but we'll build an exhaust for it next. Let's see if this thing will drive. I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited. Well, I guess not drive.
Move.
See if it'll move. We don't have brakes yet. Whew. Here we go. The shifter's like way off. It's not anywhere near where it's supposed to be. Okay, so I bypassed the fuel pump, but we also noticed this thing was hot as a firecracker just on the top end. That thermostat, even though it looked new, we're like, ah, it'll be good enough. No good, and there was absolutely no coolant in this thing. We ripped it out, it took another gallon of coolant, cooled it right back off, and I think we'll be good to go. Now, I think it was just so incredibly hot. We didn't hurt anything though, it's good. Old cast iron. Let's see if she'll move now. She's running a lot better. She's happy. Woo! That's really loud. Oh my goodness. Okay, so one thing I noticed, we're actually taking off in like second or third gear. With that C4 transmission, you actually have a little actuator at the back of the transmission. And I remember in the comment, we had issues with it taking off in second. We don't have it plumbed into vacuum. And so when you have it that way, it'll actually take off in second gear. It moved though, hey. It runs, it is so loud. I can't even hear the whole engine's in the cabin. I'm choking out to death and it is just obnoxiously loud. But hey, it's a runner. Runs and drives, moves. In our next video, we're gonna go ahead and build an exhaust for this, figure out a fuel system. Let's start cleaning it up. Let's build the brakes. Let's make some seats for the kids to ride around in this thing and tag it. Let's have a good time with it. Well, there you go. A lot of ups and downs in this episode, trying to get this thing to run, and it took a new engine. There we go though, she runs, she moves. We have a lot more to come on this thing. I think it's going to be a really neat one to really fix up and make a cool little camper out of it. But that is going to wrap it up for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed this goofy, kind of ugly, silly little Econoline Travel Wagon pop top camper. Cool. My jaw hurts when we get the opportunity to start driving these things and stuff. It's just so much fun. But if you enjoy this and you haven't already, be sure to subscribe button and notification bell, because we have stuff like this. We have some more Will It runs on the way. We've been rescuing a few cars here lately, and we can't wait to share more with y'all. But that's going to wrap it up. Peace out, and catch you all on the flip side.